we have today mashed potatoes, roast potatoes, two potatoes, ideal, some chicken wrapped in bacon, a bit of cheese, and a bit of gravy over it. That's what we call Asda's finest. And what we're going to do is listen to one of the top politicians in the UK and the Shadow Secretary, and watch him eat my dinner, and also probably dispute absolutely everything that he's saying because it'll be bonkers anyway. I watched 4 minutes of this and I had to rewind it because I was just getting too annoyed. LBC debate, should net zero be scrapped with Ben Kentish, top lad. Let's watch it.
All Matters Conservatives with Alex Burghart, Shadow Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster. Great to have you with us on the programme, Mr Burghart. Thanks for coming on. Let's start with this announcement from your party leader, Kemi Badenoch, or an announcement that we're told will be made this week. You are going to extract all the remaining oil and gas from the North Sea. What more can you tell us about how you'll do that?
Yeah, so Kemi has...
First of all, can we just hit on how absolutely mental that is? All of it? Now, as far as I'm aware, they're still discovering new shelves, and however you want to sort of phrase it, they're still discovering new resources down there. So, like, you could just trip over another 6 million tons of it and then be like, oh, well, you know what I mean? Like, let's be honest here, they're not going to extract all of it. It's near enough impossible. You have to bring in private enterprise to do so. The UK doesn't have a nationalised energy, drilling, extraction, whatever you want to call it. It brings in people at BP and Shell to extract this resource and then put it on the market. It's pretty much as simple as that. I don't know how they're going to be able to do that. I could read Kemi Badenoch's thing, but I don't want to shit myself, so let's just go.
So Kemi gave a very important speech earlier in the year saying that net zero by 2050 was unachievable and had to be said in the context of the US and China, the world's two largest economies, not pursuing net zero, and that we were in danger of running...
Biden was literally doing it. The Green New Deal, was that not what he was trying to do, but he couldn't do it because there was various Republicans and a couple of Democrats that weren't going to go for it because they were in oil-heavy states. I'm pretty sure the US was on the way to be doing quite a lot of good in that area until, obviously, they elected Trump, and he believes that there isn't any climate change. Whatever you want to think of that, whatever. The UK, so China, China's building quite a lot of like natural and renewable resources all over the place. Like, they build quite a bit. I'm pretty sure they built more solar farms than we have total. Like, they're doing pretty well. They have a big population, which means that they consume a hell of a lot of natural gas, oil power, that sort of thing. That they go through it, right, which is fair. What isn't fair is that in the 70s, whenever Thatcher was in power, the Conservatives offshored all of our industry, effectively privatised a stupid amount of national industry, and then put it all overseas, losing jobs for all the miners and industry experts here. Like, they offshored a lot of it. That means the UK has an economy which looks quite carbon healthy, but actually when you consider the fact that we import all of our carbon emissions from overseas, I'm pretty sure when you include that figure, we're actually quite a bad user of this sort of things. A lot of people like to sort of skew the two, so they use the figure before they sort of account for the sort of imports that we bring in. I think our economy is like 80% service-based these days, so there's not a lot of industry happening here. There's not a lot of cars being produced. We tend to import a lot of that from Europe and whatever else. And when you consider that, we don't look too good in the grand scheme of things.
Down our additional costs on businesses and families and public services by not using our own oil and gas. And so what she's going to say...
First of all, you can't use your own oil and gas. It goes in the market. Unless you specifically give a private company a contract to only extract those oil and gas and sell it to the British state at a cost under that of the market. Who's going to do that? Nobody's going to do that. Unless they're now talking about nationalising the oil and gas industry, which the Conservatives would never do. So we kind of know that they're just lying here. This is not going to happen. More money is going to go to oil and gas industry, and the planet is going to be worse for it. These people are just lying to you. That's all this is. Rishi Sunak has made amend at this during the recent general election, where they were like, oh yeah, we're going to drill more and do this and do that, failing to account for the fact that all of it goes on the private market. So no, this is not going to happen.
in this week coming is that we will use the resources in the North Sea rather than importing oil and gas from foreign countries. And
because
also,
Xi Jinping and Donald Trump have turned their back on the importance of tackling climate change, we might as well do the same thing.
So, well, when you recognise that, I think
That's what you're saying is
when we account for less than 1% of global emissions, you'll see that without
we account for less than 1% of global emissions. So this is one of the things that I was kind of referencing. Nearly half of this is in 2020. Nearly half of the UK's carbon footprint is from overseas emissions. It's very important whenever anyone's talking to you about UK emissions compared to global emissions, they are using the correct figure. And I don't know if he is there. He might be. I have no idea if we're less than 1%. I doubt that. Considering how much it is that we actually import and use. So look at this. These emissions account for 46% of the UK's carbon footprint, yet are not covered by the national reporting. So that may have changed in the past 5 years, but I genuinely don't know. The whole story, UK consumption emissions, i.e. those associated with goods and services, 50% higher than the territorial emissions and have fallen much less. The latest data for 2018 shows that consumption emissions accounted for 730 megatons of CO2 compared to 468. So 703 plus 468 is our total emissions then, I believe. So recognition of website claim is technically accurate under specific account method, but it's a claim. Is a claim that the UK gets less than 1% accurate? Yes, but only when considering the territorial emissions. As of 2021, the territorial greenhouse gas emission was 427, which equates to less than 1%. Historically, it's accumulated 3% over time. Right, okay. It does not include overseas activities. So at the moment, the territorial is based on less than 1% of global, but consumption based is higher, about 2%. So yeah, it doesn't, like, even if it is a change from under 1% to 2%, I still don't like the fact that they don't account for that, because it is important. You can't just offshore all your manufacturing and then claim that you're better than everyone else. It's not fair on countries like Germany who produce your cars and have to take on the greenhouse gases of that. And I think it's a bit nasty to do that.
Out those big countries changing course, our impact is incredibly negligible, and you're talking about
so we might as well not try.
You're talking about fractions of 1%. Now we're not saying we're saying that in the long run, of course, we're going to decarbonise power generation.
Too late, though, won't it? The scientists say it's too late. The scientists say we need to act now.
Whilst we're building the next generation of, for example, nuclear power stations, we're not going to cut our nose off to spite our face. We're not going to say we're not going to use. We're not going to use British oil and gas whilst we're going through that.
So this man claims he's going to extract all the North Sea oil and gas, and then switches over to nuclear power stations. I mean, it's interesting, but it's not a good plan. One of the problems we've had in the UK for decades is planning permission and being able to build things. We still haven't built HS2. I think some of the nuclear power stations that we were trying to do still aren't even online yet. I think some of them are falling apart. Again, they had 14 years to do this. We don't have the money, really, anymore to even borrow to even do these big sort of projects. Imagine they get into office and they're like, right, we're going to borrow 100 billion to like build all these things. And it's like, all right, well, what's getting cut to do that then? And what's going up? And then your pound is worth less, so your energy was worth less. Like, it's easy to say these things when you're 4 years away from a general election, but it's just not feasible. If it was, I feel like the current government would do it. They're far more like nuclear happy than the Conservatives ever were. I don't know. I just feel like it's a bit naff, you know.
Yourself for the fuels and the economies of tomorrow, rather than relying on the oil and gas of the past.
But obviously, as you know, you can do that at the same time as you're using your own oil and gas, and to import oil and gas from other.
Again, we can't do this without changing how the current system works, which would be very hard. And I doubt the Conservatives would be up for that.
countries.
The sentence can't be 4 minutes long, Minister. I'm going to interrupt because it's a ridiculously long
and it will
sentence.
also keep jobs here.
You said it's win-win. It's not win-win for the planet. It's not win-win for the next generation. It's lose-lose, isn't it? Because what you are doing, or what Kemi Badenoch is doing this week, is completely abdicating the UK of virtually all its climate change obligations.
Yeah, he's floating right here. Like, you can't really claim that you're trying to do carbon neutrality or like you're trying to decarbonise or do this or do that when you're wanting to take all of the oil and gas out of the North Seas. Like, it's just bonkers.
This government has...
I tell you it won't.
Well, okay. Well, I think you'll find that there are a lot of right-leaning young people in this country who would absolutely take issue with that, and there are a lot of young people in this country who are worried about jobs and businesses and their futures in that regard.
I think that you should.
Remember, he's from the party of Boris Johnson, which said "fuck business." So, and they're currently trailing in the polls, 17%, something like that. They're third Reformer and are ahead. They're behind even Labour. Like, this is not a party with a future, let's be honest. Any young Tories still believing in them. I don't know what you're believing in anymore. You've got Reform are terrible, but if you believe in half of the culture war shit that the Tories are currently peddling, that's the only reason I believe that you would currently be there. Because there is no staunch conservative figures inside the Tory party. Like, what are we talking about here? This is just not a thing. Like, there was no way the UK government, under a conservative leadership, would effectively nationalise the oil and gas industry to then bring oil and gas into the UK to then be used there. It has to be done privately under the Conservative ideology, which means it has to be sold on the open market as Conservatives believe. What he's asking for here is a completely almost socialist policy, like how oil and gas money would effectively be distributed across the whole people. The British people would own the means of production and oil and gas. That's how they could then get it to use to pay their energy bills and stuff like that. Like, nah, that's not a Conservative thing. This is not what they're going to be doing. They don't even have the legal ability to do this or to force companies to do this unless they started nationalise industries, which flies in the face of the whole movement. Like, this is not a thing. I don't know why they're going with this. It's an Nigel Farage thing. It's a populist thing, but it's not them. But they're trying to be more populist, so maybe they're just throwing things at a dartboard to see what makes sense. But then Kemi Badenoch's never been a good leader anyway, so who knows what they are doing.
Political issues they care most about. Climate change is consistently one of the top three.
I think you'll find that not all young people are the same, and that there are lots of different groups of young people.
Of course,
and you're implying that what you're implying in your statement. What you're implying in your statement is that all young people feel the same way.
No,
they
I'm not.
Absolutely.
I'm not implying that for a moment. I'm saying when you poll young people,
semantic arguments about, oh, you said this during this debate. It's like, just get on with it, man. Come on. You're not winning anyone over here by being like, but some young people like the Conservatives, some young people like oil and gas, and it's like, some young people are quite stupid as well. It's all right. We can say that. That's okay.
Care about climate
if
change.
you ask young people,
yes,
and that what you're saying is
polls.
that all young people.
Also, can I just say, it is very annoying that these people who once would have blamed all the problems on young people, or they're too busy playing games, too busy doing this, and they're using young people as a weapon. Frankly, it's kind of disgusting. I don't like that it was always back when I was a young person, I was always told, no, you don't know enough about the world, you don't know enough about this, and I know you don't know enough about that. When you get older, then you'll know, because everyone, when they get older, becomes conservative. I know they're realising that young people these days are all right-leaning because they watch Andrew Tate and they're not being like moderated online or anything like that, so they're kind of just falling into this culture war with the right wing. So they're just trying to pick up votes from them. They're just using them. That's all this is. It's just kind of sad, honestly.
I
didn't say every young person does. Come on, this is ridiculous.
And the alternative is something that will mean that there are fewer jobs for them and more expensive bills for their families.
Got your point on that. Let me move on to something else that Kemi Badenoch has said. She's outflanking reform on the issue of deportations. Even Nigel Farage rode back on the idea of deporting women and children who come here on small boats. Kemi Badenoch asked whether she would deport women and children, says, of course. Is that correct?
If people have come to this country illegally, they shouldn't stay here.
Women and children as well?
If people have come to this country illegally,
that's a yes.
They shouldn't stay here. And you have to start from, you always have to start from principles on these things.
So that's a very interesting statement by him. Anyone who comes to the UK illegally shouldn't be here. All right. Sarah Bavin was asked about this. How do you actually get here legally when she was Home Secretary? Because it was a really interesting question to ask. Like, if I'm someone from some war-torn country in Africa and I want to claim asylum in the UK, how do I do that when the only way I can claim asylum in the UK is by getting to the UK, and the only way I can get to the UK is by getting here legally? Now, a lot of people would say, well, you just can't do it. And that's like, wait, come on. Like that means you have zero asylum seekers, zero refugees. And that's kind of not what we signed up for when it comes to immigration control and refugees and all that sort of stuff. Like, you kind of have to take some people. It's not really fair that Poland takes all of the Ukrainian refugees because they're simply next to them. There has to be some kind of dispersion. Across the world, everyone takes kind of their fair share. As happened when Ukraine had that Ukraine home scheme where people could come over from Ukraine and live here, and there was refugee routes and stuff like that. That was all available and open. So, but let's get into this. Let's get into this clip that explains it better than I can.
Just a bit of role play. I'm a 16-year-old orphan from an East African country escaping a war zone and religious persecution. And I have a sibling legally in the United Kingdom at the moment. What is a safe and legal route for me to come to the United Kingdom?
Well, what I want to say, this guy's a Conservative MP. So this isn't like a stitch-up by Labour or the SNP or anything like that. Suella and this guy are on the same team, as he's probably still on the same team as the current guy that Ben Kentish is interviewing. So this is your own team asking you these questions.
Well, we have. You're fleeing which country? Sorry.
Any African country.
Any African country. Well,
could be any continent, but let's say any African country. I don't want to name one because then their Prime Minister might have a go at me for demonising their population. So let's just theoretically talk about an African country which is going through a period of turbulence and which is persecuting its citizens, including an innocent 16-year-old like me.
Well, we have an asylum system, and people can put in applications for asylum.
How would I do that?
Well, you can.
How do you do that?
You can do it through the safe and legal routes that we have.
The safe and legal routes, boys. Okay, what are they?
We have offered 390,000 places to people seeking safety from various countries.
See that? We offered passage for 390,000 people from various countries. Yes, various ones probably which have specific schemes like Ukraine, Hong Kong, that sort of stuff.
Around the world.
I'm not Syrian, I'm not Afghan, I'm not Ukrainian, not any of those specific schemes. The Dub scheme is historic. What scheme's open to me?
Well, if you are able to get to the UK, you are able to put in an application for asylum.
Oh, there we go. So if you get to the UK, then you can put in your claim for asylum. So the Home Secretary has said if you get to the UK, then you can put in your claim. So all those people in the small boats are doing the right thing then? No?
But I would only enter the UK illegally then, wouldn't I?
Well, that would, if you put in your application for asylum upon arrival, that would be the process that you enter.
How could...
Now, who has said this on national news, TV, or anything like that? This isn't a committee hearing. This is like, why is this not screened from the rooftops? The reason why all these things are happening is because illegal immigrants, they're only illegal because there isn't any way for them to actually get here legally. It's so stupid.
Would I arrive in the UK if I didn't have permission to get onto an aircraft legally to arrive in the UK?
Let me just invite.
Oh no, she's panicking.
I mean, you could engage with UNHCR. I mean, depending which country you're from, you could engage with UNHCR, and that would be a way of getting leave to enter the UK in order to put in an asylum claim. But I accept that there are some countries where that would not be possible.
Oh,
the
there
point
we go.
is that there's a shortage of safe and legal routes, other than for specific groups of people.
Now, let's go back to this guy who pretends that conversation never happened, and Sarah Bavin didn't completely have her trousers pulled down on national MP committee hearing stuff with her own team. Her own team that did this to her. They asked her the questions. People are asking me, how do illegal immigrants not be illegal? And the answer is, you don't come here, or you put in your claim to asylum, which then makes you not illegal, which is what they're all doing anyway. So But the culture war must progress, so they just pretend that they never were embarrassed like that.
That it is illegal to come into this country without permission, without using a designated route, right?
And there aren't any.
When people do that, they should expect the starting point should be that those people
All right, but
will be deported.
just a very clear answer to my question. That includes women and children, yes or no?
I've given you a clear answer to that question.
Well, you didn't say yes or no. Yes, it does include women and children. Would that include sending them to places like Afghanistan, Sudan and others where they face gender-based violence and persecution?
It would very much depend on the arrangements that a future government puts in place with third countries such as Rwanda.
Right, so you wouldn't send them back to countries like the Taliban ran Afghanistan or Sudan?
I think it's very unlikely that we would ever have a deal with the Taliban. I think it's...
Oh, so how do you get the Afghanistan asylum seekers back to where they're meant to go then? You can't just deport them to Rwanda, a country they've never been in. I expect them to be all right. That's just insane. Like, that's just actually insane.
Very unlikely that we would have a deal with Iran or Eritrea. But that doesn't mean that you can't have third country processing.
So you would send them to another...
But that's the thing, right? Listen to them there. Very important. Third country processing. That means you come to the UK legally on your small boat, right? Right? This is a Conservative policy. This is how fucking stupid it is. You come to the country in your small boat. That's illegal. You must leave, right? Okay. They send you to Rwanda. You're then processed there, and guess what? You're then granted your asylum claim because, of course, you are. If you're fleeing persecution, as most of these cases I think tend to be. Then you end up getting granted leave to stay. That's how it works. So then, all right, you're now allowed to stay in the UK. So then you come back to the UK. How does this help anything other than give Rwanda money? Like, this is so stupid. Like, do people think that you're going to get sent to Rwanda and then not come back? That's not how it works. Like, you're only there for as long as a claim takes the process. This is what people don't understand. The hotel thing that's happening just now, imagine that, but 10 times worse, because instead of people just being put in derelict, rundown hotels that are now asylum processing centres and not actually 4-star hotels, instead of being put in there, then they'll be put in a plane, a chartered jet from the British government, to Rwanda, a country how many miles away, thousands of miles away, and then processed there, in like accommodation that the British government is paying for. Like, what are we doing?
Which is what, we would send people to another country if they've crossed into the country illegally.
Is that sort of compassionate conservatism, deporting women and children who have come here seeking safe haven? Does that make you comfortable?
Like, when he's saying this, you can just read between the lines. It's common sense, honestly. He's completely pulling the wool over people's eyes, being like, oh yeah, we'll send them away. It'll be fine. Little doesn't explain the fact that they come back.
The first thing, look, none of this is comfortable. I'd rather...
I believe there was a situation where they might be left over there and have to make their own way back, which I think is kind of cruel and heartless. Like, oh yeah, you pay a human trafficker to basically get you into the UK so you can make your asylum claim, which, by the way, I don't condone, and it's one of those things that kind of just happens in third world countries and stuff like that. It's not great. It's just part of the lawlessness that occurs. If you want to get out of it, they need to pay a gang to get you out of it, and they get you into the UK. But if we had legal routes where they could turn up at a certain country and just claim that way, then we can bring them in, and there wouldn't be this gang-linked human trafficking aspect. There's ways to fix this without being a heartless bastard, effectively.
None of this was happening at all. But the fact of the matter is,
what did you say?
Deporting women and children who have come here seeking safe haven. Does that make you comfortable?
The first thing, look, none of this is comfortable. I'd rather none of this was happening at all. But the fact of the matter is, we have very large numbers of people crossing into the country illegally, and you have to have a deterrent. And what this government has done is remove the deterrent that we left in place at the last general election. And the consequence is we now have far more...
That deterrent, by the way, was ruled, I think, illegal by the High Court. So, no, there was no deterrent.
People crossing into this country illegally than ever before. We need to bring that deterrent back. And once a good deterrent is in place, as we saw in Australia about 10 years ago, I'll just finish the sentence and I promise it's short. Once you have a good deterrent in place, far fewer people will make that journey in the first place.
And you're comfortable that...
If I'm fleeing war and persecution, I really don't believe this.
People in this country, the law-abiding British public, tolerant, open, compassionate people that we are, will be happy with a Conservative government deporting thousands upon thousands of women and children.
No, firstly, there aren't thousands upon thousands of people.
There would be over the course of a parliament.
There are the vast majority of people crossing the channel illegally are working age men.
Yes.
And please do not create the impression that there are thousands and thousands of women and children crossing over on dinghies.
Over the course of a parliament.
But, like, how many is too many? It's like, There's thousands of men coming over. All right. But there are women and children coming over. Yeah, but there's only like 100, so it's fine to let them just go away and die. It's like, what happened to the country where one was just too many? You know, like, I don't know. I feel like this is just horrible. It's like there's a line, and if it crosses over that amount, then it's too many. It's kind of a little bit like the Israel Gaza situation, isn't it? Where like there was a conversation a bit in the UK where it was like, how many people in Gaza have to die before eventually people start calling it what it is and start actually holding Israel accountable to all the sort of death and destruction? And that was a genuine conversation we were having here, because people were so uncomfortable with the fact that they knew we weren't doing anything about it, and we probably should have been. And it was like, was 30,000 people dead okay? 20,000 people dead okay? And the number keeps going up every single day. And it just keeps getting, the line just seems to keep getting erased and made higher and higher and higher. That's what will happen here. If people come to the UK, they want help, the women and children there, they'll be deported as well. If there's 80% men, 20% women, they're all still going to go. He's not answering that.
There would be thousands of women and children that you would have to deport. You would have to deport.
So what I'm saying is, when you have a deterrent in place, the number of people crossing drops right down, and so you don't actually have to deport many people at all. The important thing is to show that you have a meaningful deterrent, which is effective, and that changes the way in which the smuggling gangs work. It breaks their business model, and so actually you don't need to deport very many people at all.
Okay, understood. One more issue I wanted to get.
This man is counting on the fact that you're going to have, 10,000 illegal immigrants, right? They're all in the UK, they're awaiting their claims. By the time he gets into government, maybe it's 5,000, maybe 5,000 are in the backlog. So we're going to deport all of them to Rwanda for processing, and then they're going to tell their mates in their countries, don't come to the UK, because we'll deport you to Rwanda to process you there, and then when your claim's approved, you get allowed back into the UK as a refugee. Like, it kind of half makes sense if they don't bring them back. I kind of need to figure out that bit, but if they don't bring them back, then they can just come back anyway. I'm pretty sure they can fly in, surely, if they're allowed to be in the UK, right? I don't think this adds up, to be honest, at all.
Thoughts on you, Miss Burghart, are calling for an investigation this morning into Angela Rayner.
A suggestion that something may have been done wrong, and that's what's being looked into.
And you think she might have, broken the law potentially around stamp duty?
No, I think that what she may have done is sought to avoid paying tax
legally
on her primary residence. Yeah, in a way that was inconsistent with what she was expected to do as Secretary of State.
So if you're basically suggesting even you don't think she's broken any laws, what is the point of having an investigation if she's done nothing technically wrong?
See whether she's broken the ministerial code. The ministerial code is different to the law.
What under the ministerial code might she have done wrong in relation to?
By the way, it is now incredibly ironic that the Conservatives of all people are now chanting at the bit about the ministerial code when Richard Boris Johnson was trying to change it to save one of his buddies. I can't remember his name, but he was like a sex pest or something like that. It was absolutely crazy. Yeah, these people haven't ever cared about this sort of thing. They lost all their honour and any goodwill or good grace that they had when they broke Parliament illegally, they lied to the Queen, etc, etc. These people are horrible, honestly. I don't like the Conservative Party anymore. There was a point in time when I would have respected it, with like Nicholas Solms, even Theresa May to a certain extent, kind of like sort of stateswoman sort of thing, I don't agree with her politically, but I think she did at least think that she was fighting for what she was fighting for, whether or not I disagree with that, a hell of a lot is very true, but I can probably talk to her at least about politics. These people, I don't think they even believe what they're saying. Honestly, I don't believe it. Ministerial code objections and all that sort of stuff. There is a part where I would have extensively cared about this, but after the last 5 years of them just genuinely taking the ministerial code and rubbing it into the dirt, I don't believe it.
So there are a whole series of ethical ethical expectations of ministers within the ministerial code, and an investigation will establish whether, in taking herself off the deeds of her primary residence, she has broken any of those expectations.
Really appreciate your time this morning.
She took herself off the deeds and property was sold. So I guess then she didn't have to pay stamp duty. Who did pay stamp duty then? I don't know enough about this case, but it doesn't sound that interesting. But obviously, ministers should pay taxes. I don't care about Angela Rayner. I live in Scotland, can't even vote for her. Like, it is honestly so not a big deal to me. The actual act of her breaking the law, although he says that she wasn't breaking the law, avoiding taxes, Conservatives know about that. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, guys, that's it. That's this LBC debate. That's Ben Kentish with Alex Burghart, the Shadow Minister for something important. Who knows? Let me know if you want to keep seeing these. It's an interesting new concept. I figured that one of the top political minds of the Conservative Party and a Shadow Minister can get absolutely demolished by me eating my dinner at 5 o'clock in a weekend. It should really say a lot about the current political state of the UK and the talent pool that is in the Conservative Party, considering it took no time or effort at all to dismantle all of these things. And I will happily debate with anybody who says that there is substance here to anything that Alex said. I don't agree with it. And I think Ben Kentish did a really good job. So go follow LBC to do a lot of these cool little debates if you're interested in UK politics. Ben Kentish especially. He's on the radio every now and then, so give them a look. But they're much bigger than me, so there's no point in me shouting at them and dead them out. But yeah, have a good one, guys. I'll see you all in the next one.